For the purpose of this video, please close your eyes. The ego is a sense of self on behalf of which we think, feel, perceive, and do. All of our thinking, feeling, and doing revolves around this sense of self, which we think we are, which we believe ourselves to be. So the purpose of today's guidance, the purpose of this exercise, is to find out what the ego really is. We're going to be looking directly into our experience, trying to see what substance is there to the ego, what it is made of, what it consists of. Because it claims to be very, very real. It feels very, very real. So we are going to see what it is really made of. So right now, as we're going into this exercise, just take a second to become free and empty of any expectation you may have of this exercise. Anything that you perhaps even want out of this, or any past experience that you have in regards to exercises like this or meditations like this. You're not carrying anything into this moment, and you're wanting nothing out of this moment, out of this video, from me, from yourself. Just being here and really just allowing yourself to hear the words, and then also to look directly into your experience and confirming what you see. Obviously, we're going to be doing this exercise right now as perhaps, you're maybe sitting in a room or you're just in a sort of regular mood. But this exercise will be especially beneficial when you seem to be triggered, when you are going through a difficult circumstance, when you are angry, when you are afraid, when you are anxious. Those are perhaps the greatest opportunities that you'll have to practice something like this, because it is that sense of self that claims I am angry, I am sad, I am fearful, I am anxious. That's the sense of self we are trying to expose. That's the sense of self we are trying to see if it really is all that it claims to be. Because it is assumed to be real, believed to be real, and because we don't ever really look, right? That is why we continue to operate under its influence. We continue to experience all of its projections. So right now, we're just directly looking into our experience and seeing. See in your experience, what is it that feels afraid, right? So here and now, you may or may not be afraid, you may or may not be nervous, you may or may not be angry, but see that this sense of self is always claiming one thing or another. It's always projecting one thing or another. So in this case, let's take fear, for example. Look directly into this experience and see what is it that is afraid. And try to find a certain shape or a form right? See directly here and now, what exactly is afraid? Because you say, I am afraid, and you take it for granted. But see, what is this I really that is afraid? You may look directly into your experience, and you may say, the body, this body is afraid. But the body is something that I see. The body is something that I am aware of. The body is something that I know to be changeful. I see the body changing. Therefore, I, the one that claims to be afraid, am not in essence just the body. Okay, and it isn't the body that is necessarily afraid. It is me. I claim to be afraid. The body is mine. It is not what I essentially am. It is not what is afraid. So, then what is this I that is afraid? It sometimes hides behind the body, right? It claims that the body is afraid, but by analysis, by looking directly into this moment, it is clear that although the body may experience the sensations of fear, what I am right now that claims to be afraid is not the body. The body also is seen by me. It is known by me. So let's look a little deeper. What is this I that is afraid? Try to really see in experience if you can find or locate this me, this I that claims to be afraid. Where is it located? What does it consist of? Don't look with your thoughts. Look with your attention, here and now. See clearly what is afraid. You may say, there's a lot of sensations. There's a lot of fearful feelings. Okay. But just like the body, the feelings also are something that I see. I, the one that claims to be afraid, see the fearful feelings. I see them also coming and going. I see that they weren't there before. I see that they are now here. And then I see when they're no longer here. So the feelings themselves may be unpleasant, right? But I, the one that claims to be afraid, see feelings as well. Therefore, what I essentially am, the one that claims to be afraid, is not the feelings. So then again, look. And don't just take this exercise for granted as well. Don't just, put half an effort into this. The more clearly you want to see this, the more clearly you will see this. But if you continue to run away from this, then you will continue to claim that you are afraid. Your fear actually exists on this false foundation. So we are looking here and now. Who is this one that claims to be afraid? So far we've seen that it is not just the body. So far we've seen it is not the feelings. Those things are objective to me. I, the one that claims to be afraid, see them. Therefore, they are not essentially what I am, the one that is afraid. So look again. What is afraid? Can you find a shape? Can you find a location? Can you define it? You may say, it's my fearful thoughts. It's these scenarios of what's going to happen or what has happened in the past. My thoughts of fear. But again, look deeply into this moment, into this experience right now. The thoughts themselves are something that I see, something that I know. Can thoughts be the fearful one? Can thoughts be what I am essentially? Even the fearful, unpleasant thoughts I see. There's a separation there. There's a distance. I that claims to be afraid, I can't put any sort of shape or location to it. All that comes up when I'm looking is the body, is the feelings, is the sensations, it is the thoughts. But I see, while looking in my experience, that there's a distance, there's this sort of space between me and the body, the feelings, the thoughts. The body and the feelings and the thoughts themselves may be fluctuating based on the fear, but upon looking here and now, I am seeing that they are not what is essentially the fearful one, me that is fearful. So then look again into this experience. What is this me that is fearful? If it's not the body, if it's not the feelings, if it's not the sensations, if it's not the thoughts, then what is it? Where is it? It makes its presence seem obvious. It says it's here. It feels like it's here, obviously. But then can you pinpoint to it, right? Can you locate it? Can you tell me where it is in experience? Can you catch it in your attention? See, every time you look in this way, all that remains is just the looking itself. The one that claims to be afraid is nowhere to be found because there's nothing there. And again, continuing to look, all that remains is just the looking itself, with no object to be found as what I am. Because any object you can find will just be another thought, will just be another feeling, will just be another sensation. And it will be you looking at it. But this you that is looking at it, this you that claims to be afraid, where is it? It cannot be found. One, just by doing this looking in this way, already perhaps you'll notice that the fear itself has so slowly faded away, has calmed down, has become less relevant. But also you'll find that truly the fearful one, is it actually real? Is it actually locatable in experience? Is it actually a reality? The one looking, the one seeing, the one knowing, is it actually afraid? Is it actually anxious? Is it actually sad or happy? Or is it always looking upon thoughts and feelings and sensations of fear, anxiousness, sadness, happiness? Is perhaps the sense of being the fearful one? Is it perhaps just a composite of the feelings and the thoughts and the sensations? Is it really you? Or is it simply what appears, which you take yourself to be? Because you don't look, because you don't investigate. When I search for the ego, not just dwelling in what I've heard about the ego and what I think about what it is, but when I actually look into this experience and try to find the ego, I can't actually seem to find it. All that remains is just the looking itself. Right? Because the ego claims to be the subject. It claims to have substance. It claims to be a specific, separate entity. But when you look, all you find are just thoughts, feelings, sensations. But these are objects in my looking, in my seeing. They cannot be what I am. They cannot be the subject. When I look for the subject, all I see is the seeing itself. I land on no object. I land on nothing. The ego is nowhere to be found. So this is what I would like you to see. The one on behalf of whom you are afraid, whom you are anxious, does not exist. It is actually the feelings and the thoughts themselves which are fearful, which are anxious, which are sad. They appear. And the ego is just a false sense of self, which is created and constantly recreated by these constant activities in awareness. You need to see clearly that you are not an object of experience. You're not an object of awareness. You are the subject. And really, that's what self-inquiry really is. What we did just now is a form of inquiry, where we tried to look, what is this I that is afraid, that I that is anxious? When we look for the I, we can't really put any object to it, because the I is not an object of awareness. It is not an object in time. It is not an object in space. There's no substance to it. There's no shape. There's no form there. So this looking cleanses you of the constant assumption that you operate under, that you are an objective being, that you are a separate entity walking around in a world that is outside of you. Because when you look in this way, it becomes more and more clear that the world that you also claim to be outside of you is also within the seeing itself. The body that you claim to be is also within the seeing itself. The thoughts and the images and the emotions and the perceptions and the sensations, they are all movements, ripples in the seeing itself. What is it that is seeing? This we don't know. This we can't put an object to. The infinite variety of objects of the world fail to, like this subject can't be put an object to. It can't be attributed an image to. Every time you look, all that remains is the seeing. Now, don't just take this for granted. Don't just let this just be another thing that you're hearing, but instead, look. If it's anything that's worth knowing in this world, it's worth knowing what I am, what this seeing really is. So this exercise, where we sort of expose the ego's non-existence, actually wakes you up to an even greater inquiry than what is this me? If it's not the fear or this and that, what is this? And that's for a separate video. Perhaps all the other ones on this channel. But here and now, we saw very, very clearly that the ego is just this false, made-up sense of self, which hides behind the feelings, the thoughts, the images. It claims itself to be the feelings and thoughts and images. It is made up of nothing other than those feelings and thoughts and images. And it's felt to be me because the lack of investigation. We mistake the sense of beingness, the sense of seeing, consciousness, awareness. And we mix it up with the content of it, the thoughts and the feelings and the sensations. And this creates that false entity, that fake sense of self. And because of this, on behalf of this false sense of self, you are in fear, you are suffering, you are constantly taking yourself to be this and that. And constantly recreating this self-image. You're trying to accumulate and achieve things in this world you consider to be outside of yourself so that you can heighten this sense of self-image. And you're trying to constantly fight away and resist and avoid loss so that you can maintain this constant self-image that you have to recreate for yourself. Upon investigation, it is seen more and more clearly that the sense of self consists of nothing other than these temporary realities, and that it is not essentially what you are. And it wakes you up to a way greater opportunity for a way greater discovery. And that is the open invitation that I'm sending to you here. So look in this way. Next time, which there obviously will be a next time, when you are anxious or you are afraid or you are sad, look and try to locate and find the one that is sad and see if there is something that you can point to in experience that is afraid, that is sad, that is anxious. In doing the looking, not only will these feelings also flee and not really hold that much meaning and weight anymore, but also you will, again, right? You will bring the attention inward. You will become open for a way greater discovery. Good luck. Thanks for watching this video. Just 2 things before you go. If you want to learn how to implement the teaching that we cover on this channel in a step-by-step format and really develop your understanding of it in a faster way, make sure to watch my free 1-hour class that I'm offering right now. And second, if you want to work with me personally to help you dissolve mind identification and return to peace through self-inquiry, check out my program down below. It's called the Higher Consciousness Shift. Enrollments are now open, so just check out the details and book your free call, and we'll see if it's right for you. That's all I have for you today. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.